Ubuntu is still one of the most important Linux-based operating systems around. To prove it, we just have to look at the Steam hardware survey. 5 of the most used distros are either Ubuntu or an Ubuntu derivative like Linux Mint. With that being the case, and with the release of Ubuntu 25.10 last week, I thought it would be prudent to talk about the 7 things that you should do with any new Ubuntu install. Ready? Alright, at number 1 here, before you even get to a usable desktop, you're going to go through the installation process. I like to recommend people check this box to install media codecs. Otherwise, you're going to have to do that on the desktop. Now, if you have already installed Ubuntu 25.10 and you did not check this box, it's easy to add this after the fact. Just open your terminal and run sudo apt install ubuntu-restricted-extras. Now, once we've typed in our command, we can hit enter on our keyboard. Now, enter your password and note that as you type, you won't see characters appearing on the screen. This is a security feature. Just once you're done typing your password, hit enter on your keyboard again, and assuming you typed in your password correctly, apt will install whatever package you told it to install. And now you're set up to play MP3 audio, MP4 video, and a lot more. It even comes with Microsoft's core fonts. Alright, at number 2 here, upgrade your system. Now, when you first install Ubuntu from even the most recent bootable ISO, that ISO is probably going to be outdated. Ubuntu tends to release security patches on a weekly basis, so make sure that you upgrade your OS as soon as it is first booted. To do this, just click on the app launcher down here, then select Software Updater. You should then be able to see any upgrades that are available, so just click this button to start the upgrade process. Unlike Windows, not every upgrade requires a reboot, so sit back and enjoy the process. And no, I didn't speed up that footage. That was really how quick and painless updating your computer can be. Alright, at number 3, I recommend installing additional drivers. Now, if you've got a dedicated GPU or an exotic piece of hardware, you'll want to install the drivers for that device. Simply go to the app launcher and then click additional drivers. You might see NVIDIA's official drivers for your RTX GPU. You might find your Wi-Fi card, among other things in here. I'd recommend installing the latest version for any device that you have that shows up here, especially if you're experiencing issues like poor Wi-Fi connectivity, slow performance, or graphical glitches. Though it is worth mentioning that on this particular hardware, there's no additional drivers needed, and that's kind of the beauty of Linux. And for those curious, I installed Ubuntu on the Minis Forum EM780. There'll be a link down below. At number 4, get set up for gaming. Now, if you're a gamer, Steam is the go-to platform for gaming on Linux. Simply launch the App Center and then type in Steam, then click install. Once you've finished, you can either click the open button or use the app launcher and select Steam. Go ahead and log in with your Steam account, install a game, and you're cooking. However, if you're a Linux user, there's a good chance that you'd be interested in having, say, DRM-free games. And if you've got a collection on GOG, then the best way to install and manage that library is through Heroic Games Launcher. Heroic provides a terrific UI and simplifies the process of playing not only your GOG library, but also your Epic Games and even Amazon. But if you go to the App Center, you might notice that Heroic isn't available in Ubuntu's package repository. What should we do about that? At number 5, enable Flatpak support. Contrary to what you hear from some mainstream tech outlets, Linux actually has a ton of software available for it. You can use the App Center to peruse a refined selection of supported apps and services. But what if you can't find the software you're looking for? You can download AppImages, which I'll show you how to download soon, or you can use the lingua franca of Linux app distribution in 2025, Flatpaks. However, unlike many other Linux distros, Ubuntu doesn't support Flatpaks out of the box. We're going to have to fix that. Now, to do this, we'll again need to use the terminal. Go to the app launcher and then select terminal. You'll want to run the following commands in order. First, we want to install the Flatpak environment itself. Sudo apt install Flatpak. Then we'll use this command to enable a GUI to manage our Flatpaks. Sudo apt install gnome-software-plugin-flatpak. And then finally, we'll want to add FlatHub as our source for Flatpaks. I'm not going to say this command out loud. You'll see it on the screen here. You'll also find all of these commands in the description down below. Now let's restart our machine, and once we're back to the desktop, open your app launcher and then select Software, not App Center. Then search for your favorite application. If you're looking to install Heroic Game Launcher from the previous step, you just type in Heroic Games here and you should find it. Number 6, enable AppImage support. As I mentioned, we're going to enable AppImage support here because some apps might not be available as Flatpaks either. Now, app images are a portable way of packaging software on Linux, and some like apps and third-party services will use app images as their default package. So we're going to open the app launcher and select Terminal. Now run the following command: sudo apt install libfuse2t64. This will enable app images to be used on our system. But do note here that app images on Ubuntu are a little bit weird. And I ran into a few issues with a few pieces of software trying to run them as app images. All right, finally, we come to number 7, configuring backups. As the age-old adage goes, back up your shit. And it's really easy to set up backups on Ubuntu, so there's really no excuse to not enable backups. In the App Center, search for Deja Dupe backups and install it. Now open the app launcher and search for backups. It will launch Deja Dupe, and then you'll see this screen. Click Create Your First Backup, and you'll be asked to provide a location. It weirdly defaults to Google Drive, but if you have the space or you're willing to use that, go for it. However, you can select another location. Now, I would recommend using rclone or network server options. Now, I'm backing up my local system to my network server. Now, based on your network configuration, like if you're using a Samba share or a NAS or something like that, you're going to want to use something like network server or rclone. And I don't know your setup, so I'll leave that to you to figure out. But for my use case, I selected network server, and this will allow you to name your backup, which will default to the name you gave your PC during setup. And then you can add folders to back up and specify folders to ignore. Then you can enable automatic backups and how long to keep them for. So that's it. 7 things that you can do with your new Ubuntu install. If I missed something that you do with your initial setup, let me know in the comments below. I'd love to hear what any of you guys out there do with your new setups. I want to thank my patrons and my Bryant Blog subscribers for their continued support. You can help support this show and get your name listed over here by becoming a member with the links below. I'll see you guys next time.